Israel did not win this round. They were firing off a lot of interceptor missiles, and they're running into a supply constraint because guess what? They need to be supplied by Americans, and those THAAD missiles, each THAAD interceptor missile costs between $12 to $13 million, right? And each THAAD battery, the launcher, the radar, the entire system, it costs $1 billion with a B. Now, people are saying, oh, the money doesn't matter. Israel get them for free anyway, and Uncle Sam can always print money. But Uncle Sam can print as much money as they want. But can they print missiles? Can they print missile production? The answer obviously is no. I saw the estimate. They fire either somewhere between 12 to 36 32 THAAD missiles during the course of 12 days. The U.S. production of THAAD missiles scheduled for 2012 is 12 missile interceptors. So Israel fired off more than a year's worth of production. In 12 days. They're not going to be able to keep that up. No. And the U.S. planned production, that was planned before the Chinese put the export control on the rare earth. and guess what? That export control is not going away.
For us, it's a national security challenge because rare earths go into almost every form of defense technology, from fighter jets and warships to missiles and tanks.
But as the conflict across Gaza, southern Lebanon, and now Iran deepens, Israeli weapon systems are beginning to falter under sustained pressure of heavy usage. It's dawning on many countries, although they still do not fully comprehend, that this will be a calibrated geopolitical strike, should China wish it to be. One that doesn't require a single bullet. Welcome to the 21st century warfare, when minerals and not missiles may determine who wins and who never fires at all.
Right now, any American company who need access to Chinese rare earth or Chinese rare earth heat-resistant magnet, which is used in F-35 and the missiles, they need to write an application to the Chinese Commerce Ministry and says, sir, can I please have some rare earth export? and the tariff war talk that was resolved in London, China agreed to grant export license for 6 months to a group of American car makers. But they did not make any promise about Lockheed Martin. As far as we know, the Chinese ban on rare earth to U.S. military industrial complex is still that's still on.
But Carl, why will China even agree to that? Why will China agree to that, given that we're gonna turn back and stab them in the back?
I'll address that question because people need to understand this. China, I talk about this in our last show. China actually don't want to destroy United States. China actually do not want to cripple the U.S. economy. Right now, at that time, the rare earth export was control was so crippling that U.S. car makers were thinking about moving their car production to China because they can't access those rare earth materials or the magnets. But because the Chinese export control law currently do not cover parts that contain those magnets, so the U.S. car maker were seriously making plans to move their whole car production to China, even with the high tariff that Trump is putting out. So at least they can make cars. But China decided to relax export control against those U.S. car makers because, again, China is not interested to cripple U.S. economy. Oh, at least not yet. Not at this moment. Even with the tariff war, U.S. remains the third export destination for Chinese goods. So the top one is ASEAN. The top Chinese trading partner is ASEAN. The second one is EU. Now United States have become number 3. But still, China don't want to kill its customers, right? It doesn't make sense for China to kill its customers. All China wants is to have U.S. come back to do trade. As normal nations. Basically, you have this is the scenario now. United States is this crazy guy, who goes to Wendy's and make a big rant like, oh, we're gonna war, we're gonna destroy you, we're gonna sit on a throne of Chinese skulls. That's what the U.S. Defense Secretary actually said, by the way. And the Chinese will be like, sir, this is a Wendy's. Just make your order for burgers and get out. and China just want to have a normal trade relationship. They're not interested in to destroy United States. Why destroy your customers? That doesn't make sense. But the export control on U.S. defense industry remains on because that actually makes sense. And U.S. cannot make those they depend on a particular critical mineral called samarium. Now, U.S. do have a samarium mine in Washington, but it was already closed down. But they do have those mineral resources. People say, "Oh, we just gotta get rid of our environmental regulations and mine and drill, baby, drill." Just mine, baby, mine. But even that's not gonna work because
it's not gonna work.
It's not about mining. China only mine about 60% of the world's critical minerals. But China process over 90% of the critical mineral. The processing is the key. It's because originally, all the West, including U.S., decided to offsource all these mining of critical minerals to China because it's incredibly polluting. So they essentially offsource all their pollutions to China. But in the 1980s and 1990s, China was very poor. So it was willing to do the dirty job, literally, to mine those minerals. But when that happened, then China decided to move up the technology tree. They move up the value chain by also building on the processing. And all the Western companies, they help China doing that because it makes sense because there's not that much money in actually making those rare earth product. So like they're perfectly happy with China both mine and processing it. Now in 2025, it's been over 40 years. There has been multiple generation of the evolution of the technology of refining rare earth. The technology to make those heat resistant magnet from the rare earth today is not the same as they were back in 1980s. And guess what? All these technological innovation took place in China. So today, the technology, the machine tools involved in processing rare earth into magnets, they're all Chinese. This is why even when they dig out the critical minerals in Australia, in America, guess what? They're still sending them to China for processing. Wow. because U.S. does not have the processing capability. So this is a real chokehold that China has, and China can decide who gets them. And so China did a global ban, global export control, because they understand even if they export it to Europe or Japan, they will just set up front company to divert the supply to United States. And this is why India is complaining right now because they got caught. They caught the stray because India is complaining China is putting the critical mineral ban on them because it's a global ban. So what China did right now is they decided to relax the export control, but only extend to civilian industries. For those critical minerals that's crucial for military application, it's still very strict. I mean, that ban hasn't been lifted. So Israel and the United States are facing a real critical supply issue. They're not able to replenish those ammunitions and missiles that's been depleted very quickly. And we know they were already low on inventory before Israel started their strike because United States has been sending a lot of missiles to Ukraine. And now we're down to the point that U.S. does not have enough missiles for itself.
Peace by depletion. Now, if Western nations cannot manufacture those missiles or their jets, and they cannot fight, China then didn't end the war with soldiers. It did it with supply chain leverage.
I saw a guy on Twitter ranting, it's like, oh my God, why are we wasting THAAD missiles in Israel? Those precious THAAD missiles could help us defend our aircraft carriers. You go war against China. And I'm like, dude, you don't get it. Like, if those THAAD missiles is not effective to block out the Iranian missile barrage, you have no chance against China. Because compared to Iran, China have a lot more missiles, a lot more advanced missiles, and China literally makes their anti-ship ballistic missiles in lights off, automated factory run by robots, so they can make them 24/7 rolling off this assembly line. And China do not have a supply issue with the materials. You know, they have all the resources. They have all the resources to make those missiles, and they have all the technology to make to go burr in the missile production. It's a fantasy that US think they can confront China in that way. And this also I think this conflict show a couple of things. One is obviously to have a large missile force is probably very cost effective. You know, drones and missiles are very cost effective. You see, I saw a video of Israeli F-16 flying in the Syrian airspace, shooting down a Iranian Shahed 139 drone.
That is correct.
And it was hailed as a great success. I'm like, wait a minute. That Iranian drone costs anywhere between $20,000 to $40,000. It uses literally like the motorcycle engine to power it. Iran can crank that out, no problem. Whereas the Python missiles that Israeli use, that's a $400,000 missile. You know, how many can you make? You know, how, again, it's a problem. It's asymmetric warfare. You know, you are not. This is the same issue on Ukraine. All this expensive NATO hardware is getting blown up by cheap drones that Russia made with the help of Iranian technology and Chinese parts. And this is also because one reason is because the U.S. defense industry is it's designed not to make weapons that fight war. It's designed to make weapons that sucks the maximum amount of money from everybody else and divert it to the top 1%, to all the shareholders of Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, etc. So the F-35 is designed to be as expensive as possible, as all those missiles as well. You know, it's not designed for efficiency, and that's a difference between, say, Iranian and Chinese system. They actually designed to fight to win. Hello, my friends. I'm Carl Zha, and you're watching Silk and Steel Podcast. Leave your comments below on what you think about this content and what would you like to see more on my channel. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.